Hey everyone, my name is Aaron and I'm part of the technical team for Leapfrog at Seequent. In this video, we'll be taking a look at how we can use the new combined boreholes feature in Leapfrog 2021.2 in conjunction with the OpenGround cloud import and calculations functionalities as part of a workflow to help us get the most out of our investigation data. For context, the previous release of Leapfrog introduced the ability for you to have multiple borehole sets within a project. Now, in the 2021.2 release, the new combined boreholes feature allows you to combine these different borehole sets together into a single table and column, providing exceptional flexibility in incorporating data from different sources in our workflows. We are now in our Leapfrog project where we can run through the workflow using the new combined boreholes function. As you can see, we have some existing borehole data sets in our project from different sources. For example, these could be historical borehole data we received from the client or investigation data that we have from previous work for the project. And these have possibly come in a variety of different file formats. I'm going to first import our latest investigation data for our project, which is being stored in OpenGround Cloud. We can bring the data into Leapfrog directly through the OpenGround Cloud connection. If I select this option, a web page will appear and I can sign into my OpenGround Cloud account. I can now see all of the instances that I have access to, so I'm going to select this one here, and we'll be able to see the projects in that OpenGround Cloud server that I have access to. I'm going to select the relevant project, and this will pull the data from that server of OpenGround, and it will show me the available data tables I have within that project in OpenGround. All I have to do is go through and select the desired data tables I want to bring into my project. We can choose to bring them in as interval or point tables. And we can see how many rows of data there are in each of these tables. Once I'm happy with what I'm importing, I can click Import here, and it will take us to the import wizard where I can go through each of those tables and select what and how I'm bringing those data columns into Leapfrog as. I'll then download the data from OpenGround Cloud into my Leapfrog project, and we can see that new borehole set in our project tree here. I'm just going to rename this so I know what it is. And I can bring that data into my scene and visualize it alongside the rest of my borehole data. Now that I have all of my sets of borehole data in my project, I can use the new Combine Boreholes tool to bring them into a single set of data tables. By right-clicking the borehole data folder and going down to the new combined boreholes, I can choose whether I want to first combine interval values or point values. In this case, we're going to combine some interval values. I'm going to name this new combined borehole set. There we go. We'll then be greeted with the available tables that we have across all of our borehole data for our project. So I'm going to start off with the geology. So I'm going to bring in the relevant tables from each of those sets of borehole data. I can then see within each of those tables the available columns of information that we have. So I can go in here, and if I bring them all Under the one column in the combined columns option, they'll merge into a single column in this new combined data table. At the top here, we can designate the ordering of this merge. So anything at the top takes precedence over anything below it. You can see we can also apply query filters at this point as well if we wanted to. Now that I've set that up for the geology, I'm going to click OK. That is going to process, and I can see I've now got my combined boreholes field geology descriptions table here, which links back to those 3 original source tables, and we can see that new single data column there. So if I clear my scene and bring in that new combined data, we can see it's all sitting together as one data table. The combined borehole tables are dynamic. What that means is if we update the original data sets or append new data to them, then that will dynamically flow through and update our existing combined tables with that new information. We can now use the combined tables for our models to analyze with the statistic options or anything else you would normally use your borehole data for. Before we take a look at calculations on these combined boreholes, I'm going to go in and create some additional combined tables for our RQD information and for our weathering information. And we can see those tables now sitting in our project tree underneath that combined borehole set. One of the advantages of the combined boreholes is being able to do calculations on your borehole data from your different sources all at once. As an example of this, I'm going to first merge together the combined tables for my geology, weathering, and RQD that I currently have in this project for my combined borehole set. So there we go, we'll select them together. They're now merged into this one table. I can now right click on that and do a calculation. As an example, I could create a new numeric column where I assign general values based on the geological units. So I can go over to the syntax and functions column on my right hand side, and I can bring in the if statement and say if my geology equals the sandstone here, then assign it a value of 3 as a very random example. And I could go through and set up this calculation to assign some blanket values that I can use in my project. But there's a lot more we can do with the calculations. We can use all the different data columns that we have in this table together to create a classification, for example. I'm going to import an example that I quickly put together earlier. Here we go. So we can see that it first looks at the weathering, and depending on the weathering, it then looks at the geology, and then it looks at the RQD to finally give it different classifications. This is just a simple example, and there's different approaches that you could take. But if I save this and go back to my scene, we can see under that merge table, we have those calculations we just created. And if I bring in that categorization column, we can see we've now got our different classes based on our weathering, RQD, and geology. I hope you enjoyed looking at one of the ways we can utilize the new combined boreholes functionality in Leapfrog 2021.2. Please go to my.seequent.com to get the latest version of Leapfrog or for other great online resources to help you with any of the Seequent solutions. If you have any questions about Leapfrog, please reach out to us at support@seequent.com. Thank you and happy modeling.